So, full disclosure, I have actually recorded this video before, and then I got my new camera. And I was trying to edit the old video, I was trying to get it out, and I just couldn't deal with the difference in quality. Once I've gotten this new camera, the other one just looked so bad, and the audio quality was just so rough that I really wanted to get something better out for you guys, so I'm going to re-record it just because I think the quality is so much better, and it's a lot less painful to listen and watch. So, here we go. Regardless, I'm going to be talking about another character archetype today, and I'm actually going to avoid saying its name. This is what it is right here. The reason I'm avoiding saying it is because in the first minute, YouTube does not like me saying that word, and so I will not be saying it, at least for now. But I'm sure there are a lot of people wondering exactly what this character archetype is, and the best way I could describe it, well, honestly, anime often gives a pretty decent description of it. Characters like Vegeta or Bakugo, people who just believe themselves to be better than everybody else, but the core characteristic of this is they usually have a decent amount of skill to be able to back it up. And that's the really important part, is being able to back it up. Otherwise, you're just an idiot. Additionally, if you don't have the ability to back it up, it is not a fun archetype to play, nor to see play, because it's just somebody who's just genuinely a a-hole. They're not anything fun to be around, they don't add anything fun to the game, they don't add anything cool to the story. They're just there to be annoying and to believe in themselves more than anybody else ever should, and eventually get themselves killed. That's ultimately what they end up doing.
He fused with Kami so he could become stronger.
The f***'s a Kami?
Basically God.
But I'm still here!
Do you really believe your own hype that much?
I am the hype!
But that still doesn't give a ton of context for what type of archetype this is. Basically, this is the character who believes themselves to be the absolute best, the strongest, the best, the most skilled. They have the utmost confidence in themselves. But the core characteristic, like I stated before, is that they actually tend to have the ability to back this up, at least in some regards. However, the reason I'm making this video is nobody wants to play with a character like that because it's annoying to have somebody, even if you can back it up, but they constantly spat off about how good they are and how they don't need anybody else and how that they're just a one-man show. It's not fun to play with. D&D is a party-based game. All of the videos I make based on these topics are because D&D is a group party-based game. You are supposed to be able to play along with everybody else at the table, and if you're causing them not to have fun, you should not play that character. So, this archetype is a very tricky one. But I also want to talk real quick about why people actually like playing it or want to play it. There was a poll released some time ago, I believe it was on the channel Totally Not Mark, asking the question of what people's favorite characters in Dragon Ball is. Goku or Vegeta. Now for those of you who don't watch Dragon Ball or don't watch anime at all, I will give a brief description of these characters. Goku is the hero of the story. I put quotation marks in heroes because he does lack a few heroic traits. He's mostly selfish and really just wants to be able to better himself because he thinks it's exciting. He doesn't necessarily do it to defend people, though that has changed from different editions of Dragon Ball and different arcs, and sometimes he's a bit inconsistent, but for the most part, he just wants to get better because he wants to get better. He is the main protagonist of the story, and oftentimes, most of the times, is the one who is able to overcome the challenges that nobody else is. Vegeta starts as a villain. He starts as a main antagonist to Goku, and over the course of the story, eventually he becomes a secondary protagonist and eventually the foil to Goku. While they both fight alongside each other, they're always pushing each other to become better than the other. The main difference between these characters is Goku really doesn't believe himself to be the strongest. He just wants to be the strongest he can be. Vegeta, on the other hand, does believe himself to be the strongest and wants to be the strongest there is. And that is the main core difference between them. Now the reason that I'm bringing this up is because in that poll that Totally Not Mark did, asking which was the favorite character, Goku, the protagonist, the main character of the story who a lot of people quote as their favorite character, lost to Vegeta. Why is that? Now in the video that he released on that, he talks a lot about the fact that the reason that he won is because people just generally don't like Goku as a character sometimes because he's a little flat, and I get that, but that's not what I'm focusing on here. No, what I'm wanting to focus on is the fact that Vegeta is a more relatable character. A lot of us wish we could have the confidence in ourselves that these characters do, and we wish that we could back it up. We wish that we were able to be that confident, that competent, that strong, and more importantly, to actually have pride in ourselves. Because a lot of the times, especially in today's society, downplaying yourself or seeing yourself as something less than you are is unfortunately very common. And so because of that, people relate with the Vegeta-like character. And people want to be able to play this character who is arrogant, not even arrogant, just straight up understands their abilities and is powerful because of it. And they want to be able to have that power in game. They want to have that fantasy, but it doesn't work so well in a D&D setting. But just because it doesn't work in a D&D setting doesn't mean that you can't play it. You just have to do it right. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's talk about that. So the first thing you want to do when playing this character archetype is you want to make sure that you give yourself a foil. One of the reasons the characters I mentioned at the beginning, Bakugo and Vegeta, are so loved and people do want to play these characters is because they have a foil. They have a different person who encourages them to be better, drives them forward, keeps them from stagnating in their own arrogance. And that is very important. Because without that, you just become somebody who just believes yourself to be better than everybody else, and you never grow. But if there is somebody who equivocally keeps proving to you that you are not the best, despite the fact that you think that you should be, there is a reason to improve. There's a reason to stay with the party. Vegeta chooses to fight along Goku because Goku is the only one who can challenge him. Bakugo chooses to continue to train along Deku because he needs to prove himself better than Deku. Without that, the two characters would just go off on their own and, let's be honest, probably become villains in one way or another. But because they have those foils, those things that drive them, they continue to do better. And they begin to learn and grow as people. It's easy to look at people in the party and identify one as that is my foil, that is my other, that is the one who's going to drive my character. And it's pretty easy to do simply because usually for this kind of archetype, you just find the one who's the most competent in combat. And the way that D&D is set up actually makes this incredibly easy. Let's say you're a fighter and you've absolutely just min-maxed, optimized, you've made your character the absolute best in combat they could be. Even if you've done that, there's going to be somebody else who should be able to challenge you because of the way classes work. If you are that amazing, if there's a barbarian in the party, they will be able to do something better than you can because they have different abilities. If there's a paladin, they will be able to smite and they'll be able to heal. You can't do that. And so, because of the way classes work, it's really easy. Even if your character is mechanically, number-wise, the strongest, there is another character who should be able to challenge you in one way or another. And that is what you're looking for. And it really is crucial to have this other character, this rival, if you will, because it drives your character to do better. Otherwise, this archetype becomes very stagnant very quickly. The other thing you need to make sure that you do is you figure out what kind of arrogant is your character. Are they arrogant, which is one thing, or are they cocky? Cocky is just having the knowledge of what you can do and being pretty proud of that, being pretty confident in it. Arrogance is usually unwarranted. I would say for the most part, a lot of the times in Dragon Ball, Vegeta is cocky. But there are a few times, specifically when he faces up against Frieza, where he is straight up arrogant and he pays the price for it. And you know what? I've played an arrogant character before, and I constantly went to situations where I knew I was gonna get my butt kicked. And I actually looked forward to that because I wanted this character to grow out of their arrogance. It is important to remember that your character for this archetype must grow or the party will not want them around. If there is a shred of a redeeming quality, people will find that. But if you don't give them any redeeming qualities, they're going to be this way forever. Nobody wants to interact with them. And so I played this arrogant character and I had him march up to a dragon at one point, convinced he was smart enough to convince the dragon to leave them, to not attack the party. Lo, shock and behold, he got his arm bitten. Strange how that worked. And he began to learn his lesson from that. He had to learn through his arrogance. And that is something that you need to do. What kind of arrogant is your character? Are they cocky? Are they arrogant? Are they straight up prideful, boastful? Are they a quiet arrogance? They truly do believe that they can beat anything, but they don't brag about it. They just charge headlong into things and do it, whether they should or not. And the third and final thing you really want to do for these type of characters is you want to know where they're going. You want to know what lesson they're going to learn. Are they eventually going to get themselves killed? It is possible if you're playing a character like this. Or are they going to learn that yes, they are powerful, but they should use that power in a different way? Or they're not as powerful as they think. Or my personal favorite, they can do better as long as they let go of the pride that they have and choose to be humble. That is my favorite, but there are a ton of different ways you could play it. But you do need to know where they need to go, because again, this is a very annoying archetype to play with if you don't have that planned out. So make sure to have that. Make sure to have reasons for this character to be with the party, and make sure to have a place for them to go and better themselves. And if you could do all that, it should be pretty easy to play at your table. So go out into the world, make it your own, you beautiful bastards. Don't forget to have a great day, and never forget to play a role. Thank you. Come again.